What nutcase dances in the middle of the street? A guy who wants to show off the Franklin Theater. That's this guy. Welcome to Studio Tenn Talks. I am Patrick Cassidy. I'm the artistic director for Studio Tenn. And we, once again, second week in a row, we are in a theater. We are in the Franklin Theater. It is unbelievable. I'm looking out and we have hundreds of people that aren't here, but we have about 20 or 25 that are. It is the beginning of that, as I say, light at the end of the tunnel that is getting brighter and brighter every day. I want to go on just at the very beginning here and thank the Heritage Foundation for allowing us to be here, the Franklin Theater and the staff here at the Franklin Theater are terrific. I want to thank the staff for Studio Tenn, and I want to thank all of you that are out here watching us and enjoying the show tonight, and everybody who's here on the live stream. Last week's show, amazing show, our first show here in the Franklin Theater, and we had the incredible Kristen Chenoweth on, and she was absolutely amazing. And it felt, I was saying to Patrick Thomas, our musical director, it felt so special walking back in the theater again. I walked in the stage door and I got misty-eyed, and at the thought of, in 8 months, 7-8 months from now, and it's going to build, that we're going to have hundreds of people enjoying live performing again. So it's going to get brighter every day, every week, every month. I want to say, please donate to Studio Tenn, texting STT to 202-858-1233. That's 202-858-1233. Tickets on sale now for a spectacular evening of stories and songs, February 12th through the 28th. I want you to watch the spectacular video clip coming at you right here.
I'm Kevin Dean, Artistic Director here at AD Players and the George Theater, and I'd like to welcome you to our preview of a spectacular evening of stories and song. When we first made the decision to pivot to an all-virtual season, the question then became, what's the first show that we're going to do? Well, we knew all along that we wanted to do something that featured the Specs and their journey from New York to Nashville to Houston, and the more we started to dig into that, we realized this is a pretty incredible love story. And what better time to tell a love story than Valentine's Day?
The most challenging aspect of working on this show has been learning a new way to train the audience's eye to look at what you want them to look at. As a stage director, you know how to do that via blocking and the way you arrange stage pictures, but as a film director, it's all about framing the camera shots and telling the audience what is important to look at. And we hope that it's enjoyable for our audience to experience theater in a new, fresh way.
Working with Jake has been a lot of fun. We've really enjoyed our time together doing this show. Jake certainly feels more comfortable speaking lines and talking to the audience as opposed to singing, and I feel the opposite. I'm much more comfortable singing, and so we've been able to coach each other and help give each other ideas. So it's kind of like we've been playing make-believe in our living room the last couple weeks. Because we're singing and dancing, and our boys are watching and laughing at us and singing along with us. So we've been having a good time.
So the inspiration for this show is that it's cheap. Not really. Actually, yes, really. We were deciding what we were going to do when we decided to go fully virtual for the rest of our 2021 season. And in brainstorming ways that we could bring really valuable content to our audience without spending an arm and a leg, Emily and I both are donating our time to do this, and we think of it sort of as our gift to the Houston community who has so warmly embraced us for the last 3.5 years. We hope that you will have as much fun watching it as we have creating it.
Well, that is spectacular. Thank you so much. That's Jake Speck. He used to be here with Studio Tenn and Emily. It looks like a fantastic show. Again, by pressing your buttons, you can donate STT to 202-858-1233. Again, at the bottom of your screen, Studio Tenn, by clicking the donate button. Okay, without further ado, oh, by the way, if you're watching on Facebook or YouTube, please like and share the show. It helps us to grow our audience. And I want to personally thank Mary Beth Richards and Jack for sponsoring tonight's show. Thank you. I know you guys are home at watching. And without further ado, I want to introduce you to our new musical director, MD. He is a country singer-songwriter. He was on the premiere season of The Voice. He is one of Studio Tenn's staples. He's a favorite for us. He wrote the music for the Battle of Franklin. He toured as a band leader for Nashville artists. Please welcome. His name is Patrick, but instead of going Patrick Thomas, which is his name, we now go by Cassidy and Thomas, or Butch and Sundance, or Rocky and Bullwinkle. Please welcome Patrick Thomas. Oh, there he is. Hello, Patrick.
How you doing?
You were out in the hallway with that mask, were you not?
I'm being safe.
Okay, now I want you to look at the camera. There we are. Now we're talking to it. I keep thinking that you're over here. I'm going to look like this.
Oh, you're in for a surprise. Just give it a second. You got to check your phone. We're having all sorts of technical fun.
Oh,
right
we
now.
are. Oh, okay. Well, let's see. Let's can we move on or can we not? Okay. So, Patrick, tell us a little bit about what you thought of last week's show.
It's amazing. These are people I've looked up to my entire life. So when you first asked me to be part of this, and just to get to hear stories from your legends, I mean, last week was no exception. It was amazing.
Well, you were spectacular, and as I said, we are having a little bit of sound audio technical difficulties, and we will try to deal with that as the show goes on. But you're in store for tonight's show he's a tremendous friend of mine. I've known him for quite some time. Patrick, at the beginning of our show, for our audience, he played a little bit of Phantom of the Opera, and this gentleman was the first African-American male to play the Phantom on Broadway. And we're going to talk a little bit about that. Anything else you want me to ask him, Patrick? Any ideas you think about?
Gosh, you put me on the spot. I want to put that at the end of music tonight. I never understood how anybody can do it. He's got to tell me his secret.
It's recorded, but we will ask him. So, without further ado, we are going to bring on our guest. And so, if we could go to the next thing, he is a Tony-nominated actor. Broadway, he recently appeared on Broadway in the revival of Once on This Island, a Tony nomination for his portrayal as Porgy in Gershwin's Porgy and Bess. He made history, like I said, as the first African-American to play the Phantom in Phantom of the Opera on Broadway. He did Sondheim on Sondheim, The Little Mermaid, I saw him in that as King Triton, Les Miserables, in which he played Javert, we're going to talk about that. The Music Man, oh boy, we're going to talk about that. Chicago, Amour, The Wild Party, Sideshow, Miss Saigon, and The Who's Tommy. On television and film, he's done Netflix. He did a Netflix film called The Five Bloods. We're going to talk about that. I believe it got a Screen Actors Guild nomination for Best Ensemble Cast. Norm's going to correct me. And in the Hulu miniseries Mrs. America, previously seen with John Legend in Jesus Christ Superstars live in concert. Also, Better Things, The Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt, Bull, Chicago Med, Gotham, The Blacklist. Please welcome, good friend of mine, my brother, Mr. Norm Lewis.
And the crowd goes wild. It goes wild. It goes wild. Look at that. Wait, okay.
Can you hear any of the applause? Because I got to tell you, I can hear it. And even if it's 20 people, it seems like 100. Oh, it's
no,
awesome.
I hear it. I hear it. I'm honored by that. I appreciate that. Thank you, the 1 and 2 people that are there. I appreciate it.
So, my friend, how have you been? Let's first start. Where are you? Because I know where you are, but tell our viewers where you are.
Memphis. I'm in Memphis right now. I can't say why, but I'm in Memphis and getting ready to do a project. So yeah, I'm in Memphis.
Great. And you flew in when? Yesterday or today?
Today, yeah.
Today, yeah. Is it? Well, it's so awesome to have you here, and you can't tell us why you're there. That's okay. I'm assuming it's work related. Yeah. And tell me, is the experience of being in Memphis as wonderful as you thought it would be?
I really haven't seen much. It's just because I'm supposed to quarantine for a little bit, and then there's some other things that I have to do in preparation for this gig that I'm getting ready to do.
I understand. Yes, I tried desperately to get my good friend to come here to actually be in the theater here in Franklin, right?
Yeah.
But you chose Memphis.
Memphis chose me.
We're going to talk a lot, Norma. We're going to talk about Les Mis, obviously, and I told you I want to talk about diversity in the theater today and what that means, and Black Lives Matter. But first, I want to start with the music now. Okay. Now, how much do you know about my life with the Music Man? You know that I was conceived on the movie. Do you know that?
I have heard stories that you actually that Mr. Morse could actually feel you kicking in the stomach.
Mr. Preston.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes, indeed.
Robert Preston, Robert Morse. Yeah.
I kicked Robert Preston on the footbridge.
That's what I heard. I've heard those kinds of stories, and I think that's really interesting. So you made your film debut
in that movie.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. And then years later, I was in high school and I broke my collarbone playing football. I was all set to go to the NFL, or at least in my mind, and play at all these big colleges. I broke my collarbone, and the spring musical was The Music Man, and I auditioned. And Dick Van Dyke taught me Trouble in River City. He taught it to me. I swear, he did. And he said, "You're great. You're gonna be great." And I went in there and I had a hat, I had a cane, I sang my heart out, and I got the job of salesman number 5. Yeah, it was fantastic. But it changed the trajectory of my career, and so I thank Music Man. But your experience with the Music Man?
Well, I've always loved that musical growing up. It was one of those things that you would play it would come on and you would listen to it every year when it would be on television. And it was one of those things that I guess it was like my babysitter, you know what I mean? Like I used to watch shows like Carol Burnett and Lawrence Welk. I got into those variety type shows. So that was how I got introduced to that kind of music. And I would see Robert Preston on shows like that, seeing the movie, seeing Your Mom. It was one of those things I just was drawn to. So it has a major sort of effect on my life. When this opportunity came about, I said, I want to do Music Man. Like, that was one of my dream roles. I've always wanted to play that role. And I got a chance with Jeffrey Fenn down at Kennedy Center to put this on. And they went, it was an amazing cast. We had Rosie O'Donnell, Jesse Mueller, Mark Lynn Baker. I mean, like, it was a fantastic cast. And at the end, we actually had the University of Maryland's band come out and play 76 trombones.
Oh my gosh. And you're right. I mean, it is the role. There are 2 roles, I think, for men in the theater that are the quintessential roles. If you're Jewish, it's playing Tevye, right? And if you're waspy like I am, you get to play Harold Hill, and you too. Yes,
I am.
And they're the best, meatiest male roles in a musical. Yeah. How was it? It's like a little bit exhausting playing that part every night.
Oh, it is. And what's interesting too is like you don't really sing a lot in the show. It's more communication. And the other roles are the singing type roles, but it's a lot of running around. It's a lot of trying to convince people that you're right. You're trying to, but then you fall in love with the community, and you fall in love with Marion. And it was wonderful to go through that journey. And I did not want it to just be a fluff type show, because it could easily be seen as that. It could easily, with the dancing and with all the, the spectacularness of it. I wanted to get into the dialogue. I wanted to get into the meat of it. And it was wonderful doing that.
And you're aware that I actually spoke to Jerry Zaks, the director in New York, and he was all set to direct Mr. Hugh Jackman and Miss Sutton Foster in the big Broadway revival. Did you audition for it? Because Hugh beat me out. He took the part.
No, I know he did. Oh, that guy. No, I knew that Scott Rudin, the producer, was on their radar, and Hugh Jackman had always wanted to play that role, and he's perfect. He's perfect for it. He's great. Mm-hmm. But I thought if there was a chance to ever change anyone's mind, maybe we could do something and get people to come down to Washington to see that, and go, hey, you know what? Maybe Hugh Jackman has too many jobs. Maybe no. But, listen, I wish them nothing but the best. And I know that through this pandemic, they've pushed it back. And I can't wait to see him do it. And also Sutton.
Well, we want to show our audience a little piece of you playing Harold Hill at the Kennedy Center in The Music Man. Take a look at this clip.
You got trouble right here in River City with a capital T and that rhymes with P and that stands for pool. We surely got trouble right here in River City. Remember the Maine, Plymouth Rock, and the Golden Rule. A civilized world accepts as unforgivable sin any talking out loud with any librarian, such as Marion. There was love all around, but I never heard it singing. No, I never heard it at all, till there was you.
Wow. So,
Memories.
you know what you didn't realize, Norm, is that Jessie Mueller was pregnant there too, and her child kicked you.
And you were kicking my.
No, it wasn't me. Jessie has her own children, but somebody was kicking you. What a part for you, man. What a part.
It's one of those things that I keep saying it's one of those things. I got to stop saying that. But I have always been known as a charmer, and I've charmed my way through my life, being someone in school, and if I did something wrong, I could charm my way out of it, even with my parents. But I felt like this role was just made for me because this guy just is such a charmer, and you do like him a lot. You question him at first, but you end up liking him. And so I thought this would be a great challenge to try to tackle this role.
Well, it's funny, and I've always seen you as a Toyota car salesman. I thought you are so. No, I would have loved to have seen you, and I know you were brilliant. Tell me about because I know you, and you are truly one of the smartest, talented, charming people I know. You were raised by your mom and dad, and you have two siblings. Tell us what your dad did. He was a preacher.
My dad was always an entrepreneur, and I remember him owning a dry cleaners when my earliest memory of him. And then later on, he owned his own construction company, and that's what he did until he died. So he was always an entrepreneur. So there was a lot of times that he would make a lot of money, and there would be some times where it was very lean because the construction industry, especially in Florida, was very competitive. My mom always had a steady job. She was always this teacher. She taught high school, she taught second grade, and she just always had that steady money. And so we relied on that income to build the wealth that we had. Now, when I say wealth, I mean by investing in other properties, things like that. And they just raised me. I was a regular kid. I played tennis growing up. I wanted to be a professional tennis player.
Where did you grow up?
I grew up in a small town called Eatonville, Florida, right outside of Orlando. And I didn't even know I had this talent of singing until later on in my high school years. So singing and musical theater was not on my radar at all.
I know you were a business major, right?
Yeah, I went to school for business, and I even worked in advertising for a few years before I moved to New York.
Same thing. Harold Hill covers all those jobs.
Exactly. And so, I got bitten by the bug. It was a slow process, but finally by age 26, 27, I moved to New York and pursued my dream.
And your first show was Tommy?
My first Broadway show was The Who's Tommy. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, amazing. And you've done a string. You and I always talk about this because I know you've doubled mine. But what is it, like 13 or 14?
12.
Yeah, 12. Yeah, well.
Done 12
again, 5, 6 more than I got to do.
Well, listen, you're a big old star, dude. Like, And I'm going to qualify this by saying I remember your dad. That's probably the first person I remember because of the movies that he's done, and also seeing him on variety shows and talk shows.
Mm-hmm.
Then I got introduced to your mom, and by The Music Man and all these other classic movies that she's done. But obviously, The Partridge Family was one of my favorite shows. Then being introduced to your brother David, wanting to be David because I looked up to him so much because all the girls liked him. He was so talented. He was a good-looking guy. Then,
actually, Norm, he was 5'6", so he looked up to you.
I didn't know that until later.
He was rather little, unfortunately, but yes.
I think I realized that as I got older, I was like, this dude's short. Like,
he's tiny.
He's a little munchkin.
Yeah.
But then, being introduced to your brother Sean and watching him and the Hardy Boys and all the other things that he's done. Now, Ryan, I know I've seen him on some shows, but I didn't really know a lot of his things. But I remember seeing you on a lot of TV shows, and then knowing that your theater history and stuff. So you have a lineage of people looking up to you, and I was one of those people who looked up to you. So being here, and being interviewed by you, being your friend, this is an honor.
It's and for me too, my friend. You know what I think about you. You're amazing. I want to talk about so you go to New York and you start the Broadway. You become a part of the Broadway community and you start acting and getting cast in lots of shows. And I read them all out. I mean, it's amazing to me. Tell me about how diversity in the theater, when you started, has changed to now.
Well, it's a whole lot. I mean, we still have a long way to go, but it's a whole lot. I mean, you see Hamilton and you see what's going on there, and it doesn't matter what color someone is or whatever, they're telling a story. When I got into New York, I just remember going for everything. I just remember, unless they specifically asked for blonde hair and blue eyes, I would go to an audition, and sometimes I would get it just because they needed to maybe fulfill a quota. I don't know, or maybe I was talented enough to be in that particular role, or just be in the ensemble. But I did learn over the years that a lot of people of color did not go to certain auditions because they felt like they were not going to be accepted or represented or even get the part. So sometimes people decided not to go to certain auditions. Now I think the doors are open wider because of the opportunities that are there. Seeing Audra McDonald, seeing Brian Stokes Mitchell, seeing a lot of other of our colleagues who have broken down certain barriers. And because I think you and I talked about this, Audra McDonald playing Carrie Fisher, and so it was like, oh, you know what? Now maybe I can be seen as that, that kind of thing. So it's changed. It's evolved I've been here 30 years now, and it's evolved over those years. And
I agree with you. I still think it still has a ways to go. I mean, it would be great as a producer, and you and I talked about this. As a producer, I would love to be able to go into the theater and see somebody in a part, and it didn't matter. I saw a man in a part. I saw a woman in a part. I didn't see a black man or a black woman in a part, I saw a person in that part. Mm-hmm. How close do you think we are to having that?
I mean, we have a ways to go, but like I said, and with Hamilton, I think you see that. And I think that Hamilton has opened a lot of people's eyes because when they did a version at City Center with Encores, they did a version of 1776 where they did a lot of mixing of I think even gender and also races as well. So I think the doors are opening for those kinds of things. Look, I have to give kudos to Tom Schumacher and Disney. When I went in for King Triton in Little Mermaid, even though it's a mythological character, but they had already picked the young lady they were going to use, a very beautiful white Caucasian woman, Sara Bareilles. Hiring me, I went up against people who were Asian. I went up against people who were Caucasian. And so just having that opportunity and that equality means so much. And I'm glad that I got the part.
Yeah, when I came and took over as the artistic director for Studio Tenn, the show, I didn't get to cast it, but the show was Rodgers and Hammerstein's Cinderella. And I got to oversee and meet everybody. But I knew I'd come to the right company because we had cast an African-American Cinderella. We had cast an African-American stepmother and stepsister, and the king, and the whole ensemble was multiracial. And I went, I'm in the right place. Yeah. I want to talk to you. I want to talk to you about. Well, actually, no. I want to play a little game, and the reason I want to play this game with you is because you, the first time you did our show, you helped me invent this game. It was you. Do you remember when do you remember when I asked you? I said, "Look, I auditioned for Les Mis many times. I never got cast. I was sort of between Enjolras and Marius, and it never happened. But I always went." But I always wanted to sing the Jean Valjean part, but my voice only went to about an A flat A, so that was it. But I said at one point I'm gonna sing the confrontation thing, and I picked the right man, and it was you on the last show. I really should bring in a clip of the last show of you and I doing it together, but it created our little game. So, and it's called Remember the Lyric.
Okay.
And this, there it is. There's our game. And this game.
Look at the graphics. Oh my God, you guys are professional.
Nice. Oh yeah, no. We've got it. We've got it.
Around here.
And so in this game, I'm going to say a lyric from a song that you know, and that you've sung, and then I'm going to point to you, and you're going to come back with me with the next lyric, and then I'm going to try to follow up and back and forth, and we'll see how far we can go. Are you ready?
Oh God. Okay, sure.
Will either you're closing your eyes to a situation you do not wish to acknowledge, or you are not aware of the caliber of disaster indicated by the presence of a pool table in your community? Well, you got trouble, my friend. Right here I say trouble, right here in River City. Why, sure, I'm a Billy Place. Mighty proud to say, I'm always mighty proud to say it.
I consider that the hours I spend with a cue in my hands are golden. Help you cultivate horse sense with a cool head and a keen eye. Did you ever take and try and give an ironclad leave to yourself from a 3-railed billiard shot?
Well, just as I say it takes judgment, brains, and maturity to score in a balk-line game, I say that any boob can take and shove a ball in a pocket, and I call that sloth the first big step on the road to the depths of degradé. I say first, medicinal wine from a teaspoon, then beer from a bottle.
And the next thing you know, your son is playing for, oh God,
for cash, ATM, money in a pitchback suit.
Oh my God, this is nerve-wracking.
It's a hard one, but
it's
we did
hard. And I'm trying not to mouth the words because I want to kind of do it. Like I want to, but I guess I should mouth the words. Because you know what? The funniest thing about that song for me, it took me forever. I thought it was going to be easier, but there's so many like different meters and tempos and all these kinds of things that are in that, and you go, what the hell am I saying? So I knew that I had to really get that in my head. Like I do know it, but I have to be, I can't think about it. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like right now you're making me think of the words. I can't think about it.
No, you gotta go.
You gotta go. And I just remember, because when we did it, it was, you could use the book to do the entire show. But we didn't. A lot of it was definitely off book. There was
you were off book in those highlights that we showed.
Well, in the highlights, yes. There was a couple of scenes where I had to like at least have something in my hand because it was a scene, like a scene.
Right.
But as far as that song, I said, "There's no way I can read this. I can't." So I actually learned it like I knew it backwards and forwards. There was one night we had done 2 shows the day before, and we were on our second show the next day. Like we had 2 shows. I was so tired, and I really messed up in the beginning. Thank God I messed up right in the beginning. And I said, stop. I said, this audience deserves what they paid for.
Wait. You stopped the show, the orchestra, and you looked at the audience and said, I messed up?
I said, this audience deserves what they paid for. Let's do it again. And thank God I knew, like, it was like if I had screwed up again, it would have been terrible. But I made it through that. But I know it. I just can't think about it.
What you just described, though, what you just described is the reason live theater cannot be replaced.
Right.
Because that moment with an audience and a performer, that at any given second something can go awry, that the audience is seeing it for the first and only time. That performance will never be done again, that specific one. And that's the beauty of live theater. That's why it's missed so much.
Well, it was so funny because I just remember Rosie being backstage, and she was like, "Oh my God, thank God you did that. Thank God," because we were all tired and we were all like trying to like make it through that day. And she's like, "That gave me so much energy and hope for the rest of the show." And it was actually a wonderful thing. A lot of the audience members came up to me afterwards and said, "That was brilliant. That it worked. Keep it."
Make it a part of the show. I want to turn to your film career and television career, and you've had quite a career, my friend. And I want to focus in on the Five Bloods, which for Netflix. First of all, was I right in my opening thing? You got nominated for a Screen Actors Guild Award for Best Ensemble Cast?
Best Ensemble, and we just got the Critics' Choice Awards nomination.
Wow.
We got an NAACP nomination, and we just got and this is my favorite. We got the AARP award nomination. For Best Ensemble.
I mean, I'm raising my hand too. Yes, I get it. It's why we get those nice rates at the movies, you know.
Exactly.
What was so you're working with the great Spike Lee, and how did the project come to you, and what was it like doing the project?
Spike called me out of the blue, and we have had this. He had seen me do Porgy and Bess, and we've seen each other at various events and things. But he had my number. He called me one night. He said, "Look, I'm sending you a script. I want you to read it, and then we'll talk tomorrow." So you kind of do what Spike tells you to do. And so I read it. We talked the next day. I went out to meet him in Brooklyn for dinner. We started talking about the script, and we talked about characters. And he said, "I want you to play Eddie." And I said, "Okay, all right, okay, this is fantastic." And then he started talking about his characteristics, and he started talking about his, because if you saw the film, you saw that I was pigeon-toed. And basically, I think my audition was Porgy and Bess because I was going
to say you just took Porgy's movements on stage. Yeah,
pretty much. And so that's how it came to me. And I was so overwhelmed because this was the first big budgeted film I've ever been on, or anything like this. And so I couldn't wait to go to Thailand. I couldn't wait to work with these people, Delroy Lindo and Isaiah Whitlock, Clark Peters, and then meeting this young man that is blowing up in Jonathan Majors. Like, he's in everything right now. So it was such a great ensemble of people, and I had the best time in Asia for 3 months.
Well, it's interesting. And I'm sure you've gone through this too. So we're all addicted to, HBO Max or Netflix or whatever, or all of them. And The Five Bloods was one of the first things that I watched during the pandemic. It was new. It was great. And I was like, I got to watch Norm in this thing. So Melissa and I sat there and we watched The Five Bloods. And I remember it vividly because I never left the house again for 9 months. We've all been sequestered in quarantine.
Right, exactly.
No, it's a tremendous film. Congratulations to you and the cast and to Spike, on all the all the accolades. You all deserve it. And we have a clip from The Five Bloods. I must warn our audience, this is a pretty heavy clip. So this is Norm Lewis. Take a look at this. Wow.
Well, I don't think you were going to show that. Spoiler alert.
This isn't just a musical theater company, my friend. And as I've told you, what work, man. What work.
Thank you. And we're going to do the musical on Broadway when
and the funny thing is, as you know, I've told you, I've mentioned it to members of my board. I want to do a play with you. And it's a pretty serious play, and it would be a great play, not only for coming back after the pandemic, but here for Studio Tenn. You're a tremendous talent, I mean, you're acting.
It's Cassidy, right? It's CASSIDY.
Yeah,
I'm just trying to
CASSIDY.
write down the check. I want to write it for the check.
Yeah. What do you like more? Film, television, or theater?
Okay, so I've been asked this before, and I love all of those mediums. I really do. Listen, there's nothing like doing film work and being with people like Spike Lee and all those other people. There's nothing like television and meeting. I was on several sets and have made amazing friends from being on a lot of TV shows. And also the money's not bad too.
Yeah, that's true.
When it still comes in, like I still get some checks from some things. But if I had to choose one, it would definitely be live theater, because there's, like you said before, there's nothing like it. Yeah. And it's so visceral, and you touch so many people's lives. There's something amazing about only knowing that performance, like you said, I'm just repeating your words, will only happen once. Only. Yeah. Yeah,
I couldn't agree more. And also, the dedication, the discipline of 8 shows a week. I mean, it keeps you in shape. How much of your day, I talk about this, I ask so many actors, revolves around that show at 8:00 every night or a matinee?
The entire day, because I'm very careful about speaking. I'm very careful about laughing. I'm very careful about what I eat. I'm very because of the fact that, there's sometimes that things upset your stomach, and you don't want to be on stage with an upset stomach or having acid reflux, especially being a singer. So your entire day is filled with what you're going to do for that evening. Because I've correlated it to people who do 9 to 5. 9 to 5ers get up at 6 o'clock, brush their teeth, have breakfast, and then they start their day and have their coffee and all that stuff. Where I have to kind of maintain throughout the day so I can burst out at 8 o'clock. So.
Yeah, no, it's you're right. It's a daily prep. We talked about earlier about you being the first African American to play the Phantom on Broadway. Did you enjoy that experience?
I did. I did.
Hard to do 8 shows a week, that show?
Oh God, yeah. Oh yeah. Well, especially because I'm a baritone, and that's more of a tenor role. So it was always hard to just it was challenging to make sure that I maintained that for 8 times a week. Also, the fact that I said this recently. I think not only was I the first African American to play the role, but I think I was the oldest guy that was ever hired to play the role. Now, I'm saying this because there are people who started out younger and graduated to a certain age.
Right.
But I was 51. They hired me at age 51. Usually it's a lot younger. So it was, challenging because of that too. And having to go, it's very physical. Going up
and you have to be in that makeup and the mask like on a 2-show day, right?
Yeah, well, we do now. They did get it. There was a routine that we could definitely take it off between shows. So I will say that in the beginning, I think Michael Crawford would keep his on for 2 shows.
But he's a method actor and he likes to live the role.
Well, and also it took hours to do it in the beginning. Like I think it took around 2.5 hours to do it.
To put it all on, to apply it.
To apply it and everything, and put the wig on, and then put everything else on. By the time I got there, they cut it down to an hour. And actually, sometimes they've even got it like in the emergency, they got it done in 20 minutes. So
wow. And the funny thing about that role is, and Michael Crawford won the Tony Award, and everybody talks about. He's only on stage for like a total of 22 minutes or 25 minutes in total.
Yeah. You think that there's illusions that make you think that he's still on stage.
He's there, right?
And there's also the fact that they say his name so much, the ghosts, the fans.
Right.
It makes you think that he's just around no matter what. But in saying that, even though I'm on stage only for 25, maybe 30 minutes. There's a lot of activity happening backstage. Like I had to have help getting in and out of my costume. I had that big red costume with the big face. I had to, have someone help me put that on. I'm running up and down stairs in order to get to certain areas of the theater because the end of the first act, you have to get into that angel. So I
Right.
had up a whole lot of flight of stairs and stay in this one little tiny thing and not let it swing because we don't want the audience to see it.
Right.
But perfectly still. I'm a big guy, like wide and tall. So I had to crunch down for like 15 minutes while these people are on stage singing this duet. And I'm thinking, okay, let's go. So it's a physical show. There's a lot going on, even though I'm not on stage a lot.
And great people. You know,
Yeah.
as we talked about Hal Prince, the director.
Yeah.
Did you get to hang out much with Mr. Weber, Mr. Andrew Lloyd Webber?
You know, funny enough, he did come to see my opening night.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he was there, and so was Hal, so was and Cameron McIntosh, and so it was a big deal. So I was honored by that, and he did come back to see it a couple of times. I also have done some things in his honor, so I've been able to hang out with him during those times. I've never been to his house or anything, but I didn't know what to call him. Do you call him Sir Lord?
You're right.
Sir Lord?
I say Andy.
Andy.
Yeah. Andy Lloyd Webber. or ALW.
ALW. Yo, what's up, AL? Hey.
Speaking of, you mentioned Cameron McIntosh, one of the most successful producers ever on Broadway and the West End. He produced, obviously, Phantom, but he also produced Les Miserables. And tell me about your sort of overall, because I know you did it in many different sort of places and in circumstances. Tell me about your overall experience with Les Mis.
You want to know from the beginning?
Yeah.
I saw it on my birthday in 1987. I was not living here at the time. I was still working in advertising. But I saw it on my birthday, 1987, the week right before the Tony Awards. And I didn't know anything about it. But the person I was staying with said, hey, I want to go see this show called Les Mis. Do you want to go? And I said, okay. You know, I'm thinking, what the hell is a Les Mis? Never read the book, nothing like that. I get there, we got great seats, and my jaw is on the ground the entire time. And I'm thinking, wow. Not even knowing if I'm going to move to New York or not, I'm thinking to myself, I want to be in that show, no matter what. I didn't care what part. I just wanted to be in the show. And it's interesting how you manifest things in your life. So, finally moving here, it was still playing. I still wanted to play. I still wanted to be in the show. And I remember getting into Tommy, and then I had an audition for Les Mis, and they wanted to see me for Enjolras. I did my Enjolras thing. And I thought I did well, but I found out that later on they were holding me because it was Johnson Litt, the cast.
Sure.
And later on, finding out that Richard J. Alexander, who is now a friend and also a director of some of my shows, of all of my shows, they were holding me for Miss Saigon. They wanted me to be in that. So
to play John.
Right? John. So it's, because they do have this conglomerate of all these shows, they could kind of pick and choose people and put them in different areas. And so they wanted me for John. And so that's how I got into the Cameron McIntosh world. And then later on, auditioning again and getting Javert. And so
the first time you did it was on Broadway, and then you went and did the 25th anniversary. Is that what happened?
We did the revival because they had closed down in 2003, the original run of the show, and then 3 years later, 2006, they did the revival of the show, which was basically the same show. But I got a chance to work with John Caird, the original director.
Sure.
And it was just wonderful to be on that stage and seeing, the turntable and just knowing the history of that show and what they've gone through. And so we had a great cast. Lea Salonga came in and did Fantine, and Gary Beach was our Thénardier. So we had a fantastic cast of people. And then I left to do Little Mermaid, and then years go by. And this opportunity to do 25th anniversary came up. So I was honored by that. But Cameron called the week after I got the 25th anniversary and said, since you're going to be here, how would you like to do the West End? And I said, you know what? Yeah.
Sure.
So
Anything, Cam.
anything for you, brother. So I did 6 months there, and then they asked me to stay another 6 months, and I said, you know what? I got nothing else. I'm going to stay on. And so I did. I stayed a year in the West End.
Well, they asked you to do it on Broadway. They asked you to be the 25th anniversary. That's 25 years in celebration of Les Mis.
Yeah.
And they asked you to sing Javert.
Right.
And then, of course, they asked you to do the West End because you are the best person in that part. There is nobody that sings that part like you do.
You're very kind.
And I say this because I'd like you to give, I believe that you've given a little special gift to Studio Tenn. Have you not?
I have. And we wanted to make sure that it was, because a lot of times we have technical difficulties. So we wanted to make sure that this was going to be on the up and up and prepared well. So here is a little something from Norm Lewis to Studio Tenn. Hello, everyone out there in TV land or video land or YouTube land or wherever you are. I just want to say this is a song that I've enjoyed singing for so long, and I guess a lot of people know me for this song. But this is for my friend, my brother, Patrick Cassidy, and Studio Tenn, and I cannot wait to come down and do an actual production of a show or a concert or anything else, because I actually love the enthusiasm that Patrick has shown for his new position there, and he loves the Nashville area. He loves Studio Tenn, and so this is for you.
Whoa. Do you hear? Do you hear the people in the audience? Can you hear them?
Do you hear the people sing?
Do you hear the people sing?
I actually do hear them. Yes.
Isn't that nice? You don't get that on these Zoom things.
No,
we have Mary Jo, is it Rubino? Norm is truly a great talent. Yes, he is. And Jason, my friend Jason Campbell, this is excellent. I've got chills. Yes, we all do. He's amazing. And Susan Will is so wonderful. Oh, you are, my friend. You are. Oh my God.
Very, very kind. No,
I want to do, we do, now that we have a little bit of an audience, and again, so it's thrilling to hear them and stuff like that. I have some questions that I want to filter from them to you. So are you ready?
I am so ready.
Okay. So I'm going to put my glasses. First question, and yell it out if you have one. Anybody? It's rather quiet out there. Over here. Okay, I can't see. Go ahead, Trish. Yes.
Have you been in New York during the pandemic, or have you been in California, or where have you stayed, or been different places?
So the question is, where have you been, either in New York or California during the pandemic, and where have you stayed?
Oh no, I've been in New York the whole time, and I've stayed at home. It's in the beginning, I was too scared. I literally did not go out of the house for about almost 2 months. I had enough supplies, and I stayed in my little bubble in my apartment. I wasn't even scared to go outside the door. Then once the essentials ran out, I had to go out and get some stuff. So I would go shopping. Luckily, there was a little store near me. I would go shopping at 1 o'clock in the morning because I knew no one else was out, and get my food and get my little essentials that I needed. So, but it's it's been rough for all of us.
Yeah, as I said to you, my friends in New York City, what you guys have gone through. I mean, we've all been traumatized, but being single and being in an apartment in New York City and not being able to go, that's tough.
That's tough.
Another question. It's again hard to see. Just yes in the back. Do you have one standout favorite memory in your career in the theater?
Wow. Oh, that's a great one. God, there's so many wonderful memories. I'm going to name a few, just like a top 5. Getting to work with Eartha Kitt in this show called The Wild Party, and becoming a good friend of Eartha Kitt. Come on, like Eartha Kitt.
Didn't Eartha Kitt play Catwoman?
Yes, she was Catwoman. She was one of the
That's
Catwoman.
Right.
On Batman. And also one moment that I remember, I was at an opening night of The Color Purple, the original Color Purple in 2005 with LaChance, who won the Tony Award for that. And I was at an opening night party, and just as I was arriving, this tall, beautiful gentleman was leaving. And the date that I had, she was heading towards the door, but I said, I just want to talk to this guy for 1 second. And I stopped him and I said, excuse me, sir, you are probably one of the main reasons why I am in this industry. So it's such an honor to meet you. And he asked me, he said, so you're an actor? And I said, yes, sir. And he said, God bless you. And he hugged me. And it was Sidney Poitier.
Oh my gosh.
So that moment will never,
Yeah, I think that outdoes any great moment I ever had. You got hugged by Sidney Poitier, and he said it's great to be an actor. Hello. Oh my God. Another question from out there. I can see. Yes, right here. What was your favorite television show that you guest starred on?
Oh, wow. Oh, these are great questions. Thank you.
It's Franklin. It's the Franklin Theater. We get great people.
There's a lot of smart people in that area.
Yes, there is.
Wow. I mean, listen, I got to be on Scandal, and I got to be with Kerry Washington and all those amazing people. But I did love, being on the blacklist too. Gosh, I'll just say Scandal for now. Scandal.
Kerry Washington, and Tony Gold, right? Wasn't Tony?
Goldwyn. Yeah.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
I was watching TV today, and Ghost comes on, and everybody forgets how great Tony Goldwyn was as the villain in that. He was wonderful.
He was amazing, and can I just tell you that he shot that back in the '80s, I think.
Yeah.
When that movie came out.
Yeah.
He looks the same. He looks and he's older. He's older than both of us.
Yeah. Well, I need another ring light. Right now I have 4, but I need a 5th. I'll get it. Another question. Anybody? See if I. Oh, what would be the dream role that you would get or want to play?
You know, I've done a lot of. That's another great question. Thank you. I've done a lot of the dream roles I've wanted to play. Curtis in Dreamgirls. I got to play Bobby in Company. I've gotten to play Sweeney Todd. I've gotten, Javert. And I would say right now I'm looking for these new projects that are coming out. There's a lot of great writers that are out there, and Pask and Paul, who have written Dear Evan Hansen. Listen, if you're listening, how about a 57? Yeah, 57-year-old black guy. Work for me. So I'm looking for the new stuff. If I were to choose something that's classic, I would say, I got to do Music Man, thank God. I kind of enjoy a little bit of what's the guy's name? Oh gosh, I'm forgetting. My Fair Lady.
Oh, Higgins.
No.
Yeah. Yeah.
Henry Higgins. Yes, Henry Higgins.
Yeah. Henry Higgins.
Henry Higgins. Yeah. I thought.
Did you ever get to play Billy in Carousel?
No, I was up for it at a regional theater, and it just didn't work out in the schedule. So now I'm a little too old, and
no, you're not. There's no real age on him. There's no real age.
I'm a little too long in the tooth for that one, but we'll see.
So the last game, we play one more game on this show.
Okay.
And it's kind of become synonymous with towards the end of the show and me getting to do this and just being so grateful that I get to do this show. And Norm, I want to just tell you first that, this is your second time doing this, and you were so responsible for the success of the early part of Studio Tenn Talks. And, we're now we're going on a year of doing this show. Yeah, we're getting close. I mean, it's amazing to me how this developed and evolved, and now we're at the Franklin Theater. I mean, it's truly a gift, and I want to just thank you so much for stepping up early in the fame game with my friends and celebrities and jumping on board. And
my honor, brother, my honor.
You're a wonderful man. So this game is called You Become the Host for one question.
Okay.
Meaning you get to ask me any question you like. Just don't repeat what Patty LaPone asked me. It was, how many women have you bedded, Patrick? And I said, only one of any consequence, and that's my wife.
How much competition was there in your household between your brothers?
It's a great question. It's interesting. In terms of the business, in terms of show business, at least not to me, there wasn't. I mean, Sean and David had a very unique career because think about it. They're two brothers that went through like Beatlemania, that kind of stardom, where kids are grabbing at you and ripping your clothes and you can't go out. I mean, David went through it in the early 70s and Sean went through it in the late 70s. So to have two brothers experience that at different times is a very unique bond that they both had. I don't believe that there was actually competition between them. I think that David's career, really helped Sean's career. He got to learn from it. When I decided to be a performer, I really wanted to be an actor, and I moved to New York. So it was a very different thing. I kind of followed in line with what my father did, and so that part of it we stayed. I thought pretty healthy. Where we did compete was everything else. Sean and I will get at the chessboard and we'll throw the king and the queen and the bishop at one another if we lose. It's absolutely awesome. Awful. We are very competitive in board games. I was the only athlete in the family, so Sean always said, well, you might get physically stronger, but I'll always have the psychological lock. And so, but in regards to show business, no, I think we were always just really supportive and wanted to learn from one another.
Well, I actually should have been more specific in my questioning, because that's where I wanted to go. Besides the show business thing, I could see you guys being very supportive of each other. But I wanted to know, like, how much competition was in the household. And you answered that question, especially with the chess game and things like that. So, yeah. It's funny because I looked at a picture of you guys recently, and all four of you were together. You guys were the Baldwins before the Baldwins.
Oh, yeah. I'd like to be a Baldwin now. No,
I'm just saying, because
Alec Baldwin's had a heck of a career.
but I'm just saying, like in the movie Clueless, they always, when they were talking about like he's a Baldwin, like they were saying he was a good-looking guy. That was the term that they used. Looking at you guys were the Baldwins before the Baldwins. I'm just saying. Well,
the greatest joy, if anybody ever asked me what was my favorite job, that undoubtedly it was when I did the series for ABC Family, Ruby and the Rockets, and I played opposite David. We played brothers competitive. Sean wrote and produced the television show. Ryan worked in set decoration on the show. Melissa, my wife, choreographed the show, and my mom did an episode. So it was truly a family affair. Yeah, it was by far. Norm, you are remarkable. Thank you so much for being here, for sharing your stories and your life and your talent with us here at Studio Tenn. I wish you nothing but tremendous success in Mississippi, where you're going. And maybe
later, but I can't tell
I was going to say, maybe you can call me and actually tell me what the job is, and I'll tell our viewers. Do you have anything to add? Anything you want to say? Anything?
No, I just I applaud you for being such a champion for Studio Tenn, and especially in this pandemic time, and trying to be as creative as you possibly can to make things run smoothly, because we're having so much trouble with keeping a lot of these theaters alive. And so I know that your community really appreciates you doing what you're doing, and just more power to you, brother. I'm hoping to get down there soon, and maybe we might be creative and do some sort of outdoor event or something, maybe this summer.
We will see. He's giving you guys all little hints, things I've been talking to him about. He's giving you all little hints about the summer. But you know something? You know what I really want to do? And we will do that. We'll do that. But I want to do that play with you and I, in this theater. That's what I want to do.
You just want to kick my ass. That's what you want to do.
It's going to be good. It's going to be good. You and I get to act for 2 hours. Oh, is it going to be good? I love you. It's so. Thank you so much, and we will speak this week.
All right, brother.
Bye, pal. Thank you.
Bye.
Norm Lewis. Well, guys, thank you so much for being a wonderful audience out there, and everybody here on the live stream. I want to thank Mary Beth and Jack Richards for sponsoring tonight's show with Norm Lewis. It was a fantastic show, and thank you for doing that. We have some incredible guests coming up on the show, and I want to say we had a little technical difficulty tonight with our incredible new member of the company, Patrick Thomas. He will be back next week. He comes in much more and plays much more, but we were having some audio difficulty, so we will fix that by next week, and you will see much more of him, get to hear him sing and all of that, because he's truly amazing too. Remember, click your button down above where it says messaging STT, and you can go to 202-858-1233. Please support Studio Tenn by clicking on the button, by making a donation. That is why we are still here. No other reason, because we cannot sell tickets right now, but we're getting there. And being here in the Franklin Theater is the first step. Thank you to the Heritage Foundation. Thank you to the staff here at the Franklin Theater. Thank you to the Studio Tenn staff as well. I want to say next week, oh my gosh, do we have a guest? Mr. John Stamos is on the show. There he is. You know, there's really nobody else more handsome than John Stamos. He is an what a career he's had, not just in television. Everybody knows him from Full House. I did ER with him. He's done a million television shows. In fact, he had that big commercial where the knitting things that was during the pandemic, huge commercial. But he's also the drummer for the Beach Boys, John Stamos. Remarkable career. He is on Studio Tenn Talks next week. Look for him, and I always end with a song. And I thought, because Patrick Thomas and I played the Piano Man for our incredible audience out here, that I would end with a little Billy Joel song, and it goes like this. Good night, my angels, time to close your eyes and save these questions for another day. Good night, everybody.